run?
I'm not running from anything. I'm jogging, sir.
In this neighborhood? Hands where I can see them.
I have asthma.
Don't reach for anything.
Officer Thomas Reinhardt, a patrol officer with 11 years on the Evanston Police Department and a documented history of racially biased stops in affluent neighborhoods, was driving through the Sheridan Road neighborhood on a Monday evening in mid-April when he saw a black 16-year-old boy jogging in athletic clothes and immediately assumed the teenager was running from a crime. Reinhardt pulled over, approached Marcus Thompson aggressively, refused to believe him when he said he was exercising on his doctor's orders to strengthen his lungs after a severe asthma hospitalization 2 months earlier, demanded the teen drop his inhaler when Marcus tried to show it to him, and ignored the medical alert bracelet on Marcus's wrist that clearly stated, "Severe asthma. Call Dr. Thompson." When Marcus tried to explain he needed his inhaler because stress was triggering an asthma attack, Reinhardt ordered him to stop resisting and put his hands behind his back. And when a neighbor who had seen Marcus jog past his house 3 times a week for 2 months came out and told Reinhardt that Marcus lived 3 blocks away and was following his pulmonologist's exercise plan, Reinhardt dismissed him, accused Marcus of faking his symptoms, and when Marcus's breathing became visibly worse, lips turning blue, wheezing audibly, gasping for air, Reinhardt restrained him and prevented him from using his inhaler, telling him to stop the act. What? What Officer Reinhardt didn't know was that Marcus's father, Dr. James Thompson, was an ER doctor at Northwestern Memorial Hospital with 20 years of emergency medicine experience. That Dr. Thompson lived 4 blocks away and was home on his day off. That a neighbor would call him within 90 seconds saying his son had collapsed and wasn't breathing. That Dr. Thompson would sprint down Sheridan Road in his scrubs and arrive to find his own son unconscious on the sidewalk with blue lips while Reinhardt stood over him, claiming the teen was faking. That Dr. Thompson would have to perform emergency medical intervention on his own child while screaming at Reinhardt to call an ambulance. And that Reinhardt's decision to ignore a medical alert bracelet, deny a teenager access to his prescribed medication during a visible asthma attack, and allow a 16-year-old to stop breathing would result in his termination, felony assault charges, 3 years in state prison, a $2.1 million settlement, and his name becoming permanently associated with medical negligence that nearly killed a child. Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe a 16-year-old should be able to jog in his own neighborhood without being denied life-saving medication by a cop who refused to believe he had asthma, like this video and subscribe. Marcus Thompson was 16 years old and had been living with severe asthma since he was 8. For Marcus, asthma wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a condition that had sent him to the emergency room 7 times in 8 years, put him in the ICU twice, and shaped nearly every decision he made about physical activity, sports, travel, even which classes he could take at school. February 2024 had been the worst month of Marcus's life. He'd had a severe asthma attack triggered by a chest cold that wouldn't go away. His parents rushed him to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where his father worked as an ER doctor. Marcus spent 3 days in the intensive care unit, struggling to breathe, while doctors tried everything to open his airways. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the pulmonologist who treated Marcus, told his parents that this attack was one of the most severe she'd seen in a teenager in years. When Marcus was finally stable enough to go home, Dr. Mitchell sat down with him and his parents to talk about the future. Marcus's lungs were weak. The attack had damaged them. If Marcus wanted to prevent this from happening again, he needed to rebuild his lung capacity gradually and safely. Dr. Mitchell prescribed a comprehensive treatment plan. Daily controller medications, always carrying a rescue inhaler, avoiding triggers, and, critically, light cardiovascular exercise to slowly strengthen his respiratory system. Marcus was terrified. Exercise had always triggered his asthma before, but Dr. Mitchell explained that controlled, gradual cardio under medical supervision could actually help. She prescribed a specific plan: 15 to 20-minute jogs 3 times per week on flat terrain, always with his inhaler, always with his medical alert bracelet, and always with permission to stop immediately if he felt symptoms starting. Marcus's father, Dr. James Thompson, monitored the plan carefully, even though he wasn't Marcus's treating physician. As an ER doctor, James had seen too many asthma patients who waited too long to use their inhalers or pushed themselves too hard. He made Marcus promise, at the first sign of trouble, stop and use the inhaler. No exceptions. Marcus started jogging in early March 2024. He picked a simple route, 3 blocks down Sheridan Road, loop around through the neighborhood, 3 blocks back. Same route every time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Evenings around 5:30 p.m. when the weather was good. He wore a medical alert bracelet his mother had ordered, stainless steel band with a red medical symbol and engraved text, "Severe asthma. Call Dr. Thompson," with his father's cell phone number. Marcus never missed a jog if he could help it. Not because he loved running. He didn't, actually. But because Dr. Mitchell had told him this was the path back to normal life. Back to playing pickup basketball with friends. Back to going on the school trip to Washington, D.C. without his parents worrying he'd end up in a hospital 800 miles from home. Back to not being the kid who sat out during gym class while everyone else played. By mid-April, Marcus had been jogging for 6 weeks. Same route, same time, same medical alert bracelet, same blue inhaler tucked in the small running belt around his waist. And he'd gotten stronger. His breathing was better. His endurance was improving. Dr. Mitchell had been right. The controlled exercise was helping. Monday, April 15th, 2024, was a beautiful spring evening in Evanston. Temperature in the low 60s. Light breeze. The kind of evening that made Marcus actually look forward to his jog instead of dreading it. Marcus changed into his athletic clothes, gray shorts, bright blue t-shirt, white running shoes, clipped his medical alert bracelet on his left wrist, tucked his inhaler in his belt, and headed out at 5:32 p.m. His father was home, off shift at the hospital for the first time in 4 days. James was in the kitchen making dinner, still wearing his scrubs, planning to change after he got food started. He saw Marcus heading out. "Got your inhaler?" James called. Marcus held up the running belt. "Medical bracelet?" Marcus held up his wrist. James nodded. 20 minutes, max. Any trouble? You stop immediately." Marcus promised he would. Marcus started his jog down Sheridan Road. He'd done this route so many times now that he knew every crack in the sidewalk, every house, every dog that barked when he passed. At 2847 Sheridan lived the Johnsons. They had a golden retriever that always wagged its tail when Marcus jogged past. At 2891 lived Paul Yu, a pharmacist who Marcus's dad knew from the hospital. Paul had seen Marcus jog past his house dozens of times and always waved from his porch if he was outside. Marcus was about 12 minutes into his jog when he saw the police car. It was parked at the intersection ahead, and as Marcus jogged closer, he saw the officer inside watching him. Marcus didn't think much of it at first. He was jogging, in broad daylight, in athletic clothes, on a public sidewalk. He kept jogging. Then the police car's lights came on, and Marcus's stomach dropped. Officer Thomas Reinhardt had been sitting in his patrol car for about 20 minutes doing paperwork when he saw Marcus. Reinhardt was 39 years old with 11 years on the Evanston Police Department. He worked the evening shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., and spent most of that time patrolling residential neighborhoods in the wealthier parts of Evanston. Reinhardt had a history. Over his 11 years on the force, he'd been the subject of 6 formal complaints, all 6 filed by Black or Latino residents, all 6 in affluent neighborhoods, all 6 claiming Reinhardt had stopped them without cause, treated them like criminals, and refused to believe they belonged in the area. Every single complaint had been investigated and dismissed. Reinhardt had never faced discipline. The complaints sat in his file like a pattern no one had bothered to connect. Reinhardt saw Marcus jogging, and his brain made the same assumption it had made 6 times before. Black teenager, affluent neighborhood, moving fast, must be running from something. Reinhardt pulled his patrol car forward, turned on his lights, and got out as Marcus approached. Marcus stopped jogging about 10 feet away from the police car, confused and increasingly nervous. "Stop right there," Reinhardt said, his tone already suspicious and aggressive. "Why are you running through this neighborhood?" Marcus's heart rate spiked. He was already breathing hard from jogging, and now anxiety was making it worse. "I'm not running from anything, sir," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice calm the way his parents had taught him. "I'm jogging. I live on this street." Reinhardt's expression didn't change. He'd heard excuses before. In this neighborhood? At this time? Where are you really going? Marcus felt his chest starting to tighten slightly. Stress was a trigger for his asthma. He needed to stay calm. I'm just exercising, sir. I have asthma. My doctor prescribed light jogging to strengthen my lungs. I live 3 blocks that way. Marcus pointed down Sheridan Road toward his house. Reinhardt saw Marcus breathing heavily and interpreted it as nervousness from getting caught. You're out of breath. What were you doing? Marcus held up his left wrist, showing the medical alert bracelet. The stainless steel band caught the late afternoon sun. The red medical symbol was clearly visible. The engraved text read, "Severe asthma. Call Dr. Thompson." I have severe asthma, sir. I'm out of breath because I was jogging. This bracelet has my medical information and my dad's phone number. He's Dr. Thompson at Northwestern Memorial. I can call him right now if... Reinhardt cut him off. Anyone can buy a medical bracelet online. That doesn't prove anything. Marcus felt his breathing getting worse. The tightness in his chest was increasing. This was stress triggering his asthma. He needed to use his inhaler before this got bad. He reached slowly toward his waist, where his running belt held his blue albuterol inhaler. I have my inhaler right here, sir. My pulmonologist prescribed it. I need to use it because stress triggers my asthma and... Drop that! Reinhardt's voice went sharp and loud. Don't reach for anything. Marcus froze, his hand hovering near his waist. It's my inhaler, sir. It's medication. I'm prescribed to carry it. I need to use it. Reinhardt stepped forward, his own hand moving to his belt near his handcuffs. I said drop it. Put your hands where I can see them. Marcus slowly raised his hands, his breathing getting more and more labored. He could feel it starting, the wheezing, the tightness. This was the beginning of an asthma attack, and he needed his inhaler now before it got worse. Please, sir. Marcus's voice was strained now, the effort of speaking while his airways constricted becoming harder. I really do have asthma. I really do need my inhaler. You can call my dad, you can call my doctor, but I need to use my medication right now. Down the street, Paul Yu was on his front porch watering his plants when he heard raised voices. He looked up and saw the police car, saw Marcus with his hands up, saw the officer advancing on Marcus. Paul recognized Marcus immediately, the kid who jogged past his house 3 times a week like clockwork. Paul walked down his porch steps toward the scene, concerned. Officer, is everything okay? That's Marcus Thompson. He lives down the street. He jogs this route all the time. Reinhardt turned toward Paul, annoyed. Sir, step back. This doesn't concern you. Paul didn't step back. I'm just letting you know, I see him jog past my house 3 times a week. He's a good kid. His dad's a doctor at Northwestern. He has asthma. I've seen his medical bracelet before. Reinhardt's jaw tightened. Sir, I need you to step back and let me do my job. Marcus was wheezing now, audibly. His chest was heaving as he tried to pull in air through constricting airways. Can't breathe. Please. Inhaler. Reinhardt looked at Marcus and saw what he expected to see. A teenager caught doing something wrong, trying to get out of trouble by faking symptoms. Turn around, hands behind your back. Marcus's eyes went wide. What? No, please, I'm having an asthma attack. I need my inhaler. Please. Reinhardt grabbed Marcus's arm and spun him around. Marcus tried to pull away, not to resist arrest, but because his body was screaming for air and his inhaler was right there in his belt, and this officer was preventing him from using it. Stop resisting, Reinhardt said, forcing Marcus's arms behind his back. Marcus wasn't resisting. He was trying to breathe, but his airways were closing and his lips were starting to tingle from lack of oxygen, and his vision was starting to blur at the edges. Paul Yu pulled out his phone and started recording. Officer, he's not faking. He can't breathe. Listen to him. Let him use his inhaler. Reinhardt glanced at Paul, then back at Marcus, who was now bent forward, gasping, wheezing with every attempted breath, his lips beginning to take on a bluish tint. He's fine, Reinhardt said. He's putting on a show. Marcus collapsed to his knees, then forward onto the sidewalk. His body was shutting down from lack of oxygen. His lips were blue. His fingernails were blue. He wasn't conscious anymore. Paul was already dialing, not 911, Dr. Thompson's number. Paul and James Thompson knew each other from Northwestern. Paul was a pharmacist there. Paul had Dr. Thompson's cell number. James answered, on the first ring. Hey, Paul, what's... James, get to Sheridan and Oak right now. Marcus collapsed. He's not breathing. There's a cop here who won't let him use his inhaler. James didn't ask questions. He dropped the spoon he was holding, ran out his front door still in his scrubs, and sprinted 4 blocks down Sheridan Road faster than he'd ever run in his life. James arrived at 5:51 p.m., 90 seconds after Paul's call, to see a 16-year-old son lying unconscious on the sidewalk, lips blue, not breathing, while Officer Reinhardt stood over him. "What did you do?" James's voice came out strangled, somewhere between a scream and a sob. "That's my son. What did you do?" James dropped to his knees beside Marcus, immediately checking for breathing, for a pulse. Marcus had a pulse, weak but there. But he wasn't breathing. His airways were completely closed. "He was faking," Reinhardt said. He has severe asthma," James shouted, ripping the inhaler from Marcus's running belt. "Did you see his medical bracelet? Did he tell you he had asthma? Did he ask for his inhaler?" Reinhardt didn't answer. James tilted Marcus's head back, administered rescue breaths, gave 2 puffs from the albuterol inhaler directly into Marcus's throat, repeated rescue breathing. 20 years of emergency medicine training took over. James's hands knew exactly what to do, even though his brain was screaming that this was his son, his child, his boy, who wasn't breathing. "Call an ambulance," James ordered without looking up. "Now." Reinhardt fumbled for his radio. "Dispatch, I need an ambulance at Sheridan and Oak. Subject collapsed, not breathing." Marcus coughed, gasped. His chest heaved as air finally forced its way into his lungs. He coughed again, violently, his body convulsing as oxygen flooded back into starved tissues. His eyes fluttered open, confused, terrified, still gasping. "I've got you," James said quietly, holding Marcus while he coughed and gasped and tried to breathe. "I've got you, buddy. You're okay. Just breathe. Slow breaths. I've got you." The ambulance arrived 4 minutes later. Paramedics took over, loading Marcus onto a stretcher, putting an oxygen mask on his face, monitoring his vitals as they transported him to Northwestern Memorial, the same hospital where his father worked, the same hospital that had saved his life 2 months earlier. James stood up from the sidewalk and turned to face Reinhardt. His scrubs had grass stains on the knees. His hands were shaking. His voice, when he spoke, was deadly calm. "You almost killed my son. Do you understand that? He showed you his medical alert bracelet. He told you he had asthma. He asked for his inhaler. A neighbor told you he lives here and jogs this route regularly, and you ignored all of it. You restrained him. You prevented him from using prescribed medication during a medical emergency. His lips were blue. He stopped breathing. And you stood there and did nothing because you thought he was faking." Reinhardt opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Paul Yu, who was still recording, looked at the ambulance driving away with Marcus inside, looked at Dr. Thompson standing in front of him in grass-stained scrubs with rage and grief written across his face. "I'm an ER doctor," James said quietly. "I've been practicing emergency medicine for 20 years. I know what a severe asthma attack looks like. I know what cyanosis looks like. I know what happens when someone's airways close and they can't breathe. And so should you. Because you're supposed to be trained to recognize medical emergencies. And you failed. You failed so catastrophically that you almost killed a child." Reinhardt had no answer. By the time Reinhardt's supervisor arrived, 15 minutes later, Paul Yu's video had already been sent to James Thompson's personal attorney. The video showed everything. Marcus jogging, Reinhardt stopping him, Marcus showing the medical bracelet, Marcus reaching for his inhaler, Reinhardt ordering him not to, Paul confirming Marcus lived there, Reinhardt dismissing Paul, Marcus's breathing getting worse, audibly, visibly worse, the wheezing, the gasping, Marcus collapsing, his lips blue, Reinhardt standing over him saying, "He's faking," James arriving and screaming, "He has severe asthma," James performing emergency intervention, Marcus finally breathing again. The video was 2 minutes and 47 seconds long. And it was about to be seen by millions of people. Marcus spent 2 days in Northwestern Memorial being monitored and treated. The asthma attack had been severe enough that doctors wanted to make sure there was no lasting damage to his lungs or his heart from oxygen deprivation. Dr. Mitchell, Marcus's pulmonologist, was furious when she heard what happened. She wrote a detailed medical report documenting that Marcus's exercise plan was medically necessary and prescribed, that his medical alert bracelet was legitimate and should have been honored, and that denying him access to his rescue inhaler during an active asthma attack constituted medical negligence that could have been fatal. Officer Thomas Reinhardt was placed on administrative leave on April 16, 2024, the day after the incident. The Evanston Police Department's Internal Affairs Division opened an investigation, but they didn't need to investigate much. Paul Yu's video showed everything. Reinhardt's own body cam, which he'd forgotten to turn off, showed everything from his perspective. The medical records from Northwestern Memorial showed everything about Marcus's condition and treatment. Criminal charges were filed in May 2024. Felony assault causing bodily harm, reckless endangerment of a minor, deprivation of medical care under color of law. The charges were serious because the evidence was overwhelming and because Marcus had come within minutes of dying. Paul Yu's video went viral within 48 hours. 12 million views in the first week, 30 million within a month. The comments were brutal. People couldn't understand how an officer could watch a teenager with a medical alert bracelet stop breathing and do nothing. Couldn't understand how someone could be denied access to prescribed medication during a medical emergency. Couldn't understand how "I have severe asthma, I need my inhaler" could be interpreted as anything other than a medical crisis. Reinhardt's trial took place in November in 2024. The prosecution presented Paul Yu's video, Reinhardt's body cam footage, Marcus's medical records, testimony from Dr. Mitchell about asthma attacks and the importance of immediate medication access, and testimony from Dr. Thompson about what he found when he arrived and how close Marcus came to permanent brain damage or death from oxygen deprivation. The defense argued that Reinhardt had made a judgment call in good faith, that he couldn't have known Marcus was actually having a medical emergency versus faking symptoms to avoid arrest. The jury didn't buy it. Marcus's medical alert bracelet said "severe asthma" in letters large enough to read on the video footage. Marcus had explicitly stated he had asthma multiple times. Paul Yu had confirmed it. Marcus's breathing had been audibly deteriorating. The wheezing was clear on both videos, and his lips had turned blue, which is not something anyone can fake. The jury deliberated for 30 minutes before returning guilty verdicts on all counts. The speed of the deliberation made a statement. This wasn't a close call. This was clear, egregious negligence. Reinhardt was sentenced in December 2024 to 3 years in state prison. The judge, in explaining the sentence, noted that Reinhardt had ignored every warning sign, dismissed every piece of evidence, and allowed a preventable medical emergency to escalate to the point where a child nearly died. The judge stated that anyone in a position of authority who prevents someone from accessing life-saving medication during a medical emergency deserves significant prison time. As of March 2026, Reinhardt is currently serving his sentence. He will not be eligible for early release. Dr. Thompson filed a civil rights lawsuit in May 2024 seeking $2.1 million in damages. The city of Evanston reviewed the evidence and decided to settle rather than go to trial. The settlement was finalized in August 2025 for the full amount. Dr. Thompson used a significant portion of the settlement to establish the Marcus Thompson Medical Rights Foundation. The foundation's mission is to ensure that people with medical conditions are protected during police encounters. The foundation advocates for laws requiring officers to honor medical alert devices, provides emergency medical training to police departments, offers legal support to families whose medical conditions were ignored by law enforcement, and works to change policies so that no one else is denied access to prescribed medication during an emergency. In its first year, the foundation helped 89 families navigate similar situations. It successfully advocated for a new Illinois state law requiring police officers to receive training in recognizing common medical emergencies, including asthma attacks, seizures, diabetic episodes, and allergic reactions. The law also requires that when someone wearing a medical alert device requests medication, officers must allow access unless there is clear evidence the device is fake and the medication is dangerous. The Evanston Police Department implemented comprehensive reforms. All officers now receive annual medical emergency recognition training. Medical alert bracelets and devices must be honored unless proven fraudulent. Officers who prevent access to prescribed medication during a verified medical emergency face automatic termination and criminal referral. An independent civilian review board was created to investigate all complaints, especially those involving medical emergencies. The department also pulled Reinhardt's personnel file and finally looked at the pattern that had been sitting there for 11 years. 6 complaints, all affluent neighborhoods, all people of color, all dismissed. The department identified 3 other officers with similar patterns and removed them from patrol pending review. 2 years later, Marcus Thompson is now 18 years old and a freshman at Northwestern University. He's pre-med. He wants to become a pulmonologist like Dr. Mitchell. He wants to help other kids with asthma understand their condition and learn to manage it safely. He still has severe asthma. He still carries his inhaler everywhere. He still wears his medical alert bracelet. And he still jogs. Same route 3 times a week, just like Dr. Mitchell prescribed. But Marcus doesn't jog alone anymore. His father or his mother or a friend always jogs with him now. Not because Marcus is afraid of police, though he is sometimes, but because his family is afraid of what might happen if Marcus has another medical emergency and there's no one there to advocate for him. Marcus has become an advocate himself. He speaks at schools about asthma awareness and the importance of medical alert devices. He's testified before the Illinois state legislature about protecting people with medical conditions during police encounters. He shares his story at medical conferences and police reform workshops. And every time he speaks, he makes the same point. I almost died because a police officer decided my medical emergency wasn't real. No one should have to prove they're dying before they're allowed to use their medication. Officer Thomas Reinhardt is currently serving the 2nd year of his 3-year sentence in state prison. He will be 42 when he's released. His law enforcement certification has been permanently revoked. His name is permanently associated with medical negligence that almost killed a teenager. And the video of Marcus Thompson collapsing while Reinhardt stood by claiming he was faking will follow Reinhardt for the rest of his life. The case is now used in police training programs across the country. It's shown in medical schools as an example of what happens when medical emergencies aren't recognized. It's cited in legal briefs about the duty of care officers have during health crises, and it's referenced whenever someone asks, what happens when bias overrides basic observation and a child is denied medication that could save their life? The answer is severe. The answer is 3 years in prison. The answer is $2.1 million. The answer is permanent loss of career and reputation. And most importantly, the answer is reform. Reform that ensures the next Marcus Thompson won't have to collapse and stop breathing before someone believes he needs his inhaler. If you believe a teenager with a medical alert bracelet should be allowed to use their prescribed medication during a medical emergency, share this story. What training do you think police departments need to recognize asthma attacks and other health crises? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story reminded you that medical negligence has consequences and that children with medical conditions deserve protection, subscribe. Because we're not stopping until every person can access their life-saving medication without having to prove they're dying first.